So thank you to the Minnesota Herp Society for inviting me to speak to them. Originally, I was going to be doing this live at their July meeting, but instead, I'm recording from home because of the pandemic. Just like so many other events have gone virtual, so have we gone with this talk. I'm going to talk almost entirely about the Turtle Room, its mission, and the activities that we undertake as part of that mission. So before we get started, a little bit about myself. I am the founder, president, and executive director of the Turtle Room. By day, I teach high school math. I've got several degrees there that you can see, and I've also chaired a session at the Symposium on Conservation and Biology of Tortoises and Freshwater Turtles each of the last 5 years. This year, as the conference has gone virtual, I will not be doing that, but should be returning to that next year. If you want to learn about me, you can go to my page on our website. Here are the Turtle Room's board. Myself, Anthony, who many of you know from online, my wife Lisa, with her accounting background, is our treasurer, Casey Leone, who is our secretary, and she also runs one of our conservation projects. And then you see Andrew Hermes down below, who many of you are probably familiar with as well, thanks to his business, Arizona Tortoise Compound. Our mission is simply to advance survival of the world's turtles and tortoises through collaborative education, conservation, and research programs. Our overarching vision, our dream, if you will, is that all species of turtle and tortoise on the planet will flourish in their natural environment. Obviously, this is a big challenge. Habitats are being destroyed, animals are being poached, among many other issues. But that's why we call that a vision statement, not a mission statement. All right? But our mission is to continue to move forward, to advance the survival of these animals that we all love so much. On our website, you can also check out some foundational belief statements that our board put together when we went nonprofit a few years ago. It's actually about 2 years now. First, education, we believe, is foundation for successful conservation. Without education, it is very hard to develop connections with the general public and anybody else we want to get involved into our work. Conservation, we believe that in situ and ex situ conservation have to work together to provide the best conservation outcomes. While in situ conservation could probably stand alone, the support of captive assurance programs along with the in situ programs provide for a complete conservation effort that can not only conserve habitats, but boost populations. We also believe that research is key, both of captive and wild populations. It's how we can truly learn everything we can about turtles and tortoises. It can help us identify which populations are in need of conservation, which methods work best for a given set of variables, and we can continue to fine-tune our husbandry practices due to husbandry research as well. As far as our general strategy, on the education side, the Turtle Room develops applications, we write articles, design educational materials about natural history, care, data keeping, etc. And we also are very big on effective use of social media. We also present talks at meetings just like this one, conferences. Several of our staff have done classroom presentations in high schools and colleges and even middle schools, I believe, and various other venues around the United States. On the conservation side, we try to maintain captive genetically diverse animals for the purpose of developing assurance colonies. We do this frequently in collaboration with other organizations to make these programs as diverse as possible. We also collaborate with other organizations to create new research and in situ conservation projects, and we also support existing projects led by other organizations. Excuse me. Our organization runs on 4 core principles that we believe guide every decision we make about our conservation and education programs. First is collaboration. We believe collaboration is extremely important to successful conservation. It's a matter of both hobbyists and conservation working together. It's a matter of different conservation organizations working together. It's about government agencies and conservation organizations and hobbyists working together. All sorts of collaboration. Conservation can't happen successfully without it. Secondly, positivity. We believe that it's extremely important to maintain a positive approach to everything we do, especially on the education side. For us to continue to move forward and continue to increase support and revenue that allow us to do great things in conservation, it is important to maintain hope and a positive front in spite of the endangerment of these animals. Third, every component we do, even conservation components, should have an education piece to them. So in our field programs, for instance, we also use those to help educate and train volunteers and staff and continue to build their abilities in the field and in science as a general rule. And lastly, we've talked about bridging gaps as an organization, finding places where there are holes in the education, conservation, or research efforts and filling those holes. So before we talk about what the Turtle Room is doing, we need to talk about why we are doing it. I want to thank Anders Rodin and some of his co-authors for allowing me to use these slides. They're based on a paper that they're from a paper that they put together and spoke on at the 2019 TSA Symposium. So the first big thing here, at the time this paper was published, there were 360 recognized species of turtle and tortoise, 482 total taxa if we count all the subspecies. 63 of those 360, in other words, 16 to 17%, are critically endangered. And 179, which is just over 50%, are at least endangered. If we add the threatened level in there, it grows even more. All right, and so we can look at the average threat level for vertebrates, and we can look at all these different groups, and we look at the turtles and tortoises are the most endangered on average, with the primates right behind. And you can see that they're very close. It's pretty common for these two to leapfrog from year to year. And you can see that salamanders are a good bit behind compared to the way turtles and tortoises are with the monkeys and apes, but still very endangered. So basically what this means is that turtles and tortoises need our help as much, if not more, than just about any other group of animals on the planet for their survival. Here's I'm going to show you a set of maps that are also from Anders Rodin's work. And you can see here the species richness for all species. Obviously, Southeast Asia, we know, is really highly populated in turtles and tortoises. And the Southeast United States, huge. We're even pretty bright red here where the Turtle Room is headquartered. And you guys have quite a bit of diversity even in your little area of Minnesota, but the diversity does get less as you get away from those main river systems into the cold north. This is all turtles. If we remove those that are not critically endangered, endangered, or vulnerable, in other words, the 3 threatened statuses, this is what it looks like. And Southeast Asia is still lit up bright red. While we see pockets of the U.S. have a lot more of these threatened species than others. Bog turtles, gopher tortoises, the flattened musk turtle, terrapins, wood turtles, spotted turtles, etc. If we remove the threatened ones, we're now looking at just critically endangered and endangered. And again, the rest of the world, as a general rule, gets less and less red, but Southeast Asia is our hot spot. And when we look at just those critically endangered, we can identify a few select species: the flattened musk turtle, bog turtles, Kwajalein box turtle, I think that one is. One of the desert tortoises. This spot here might actually be another one of the desert tortoises. I cannot remember which South American species is the one that is critically endangered. But you get the idea. In 2018, the newest top 25 and top 50 list came out. And so we can highlight those species on the map. Here are where the top 25 most endangered tortoises and freshwater turtles are. We've got Mexico, South America, species in South Africa, obviously Madagascar. We can see a couple in Australia, and then Southeast Asia. Again, lots of endangered species there. And then if we add the next 25, we see the blue dots pop up. And so we start incorporating some of our US and North American species. So what is the Turtle Room doing about this problem? And so the first thing we want to talk about is the conservation actions the Turtle Room is taking. And let me turn off my camera for a second so you can see this entire sentence. So conservation action by the Turtle Room is split into two departments of our organization. The first of these is our field programs department, and then we also have our animal husbandry department. Pretty self-explanatory based on their names. We're going to start with our field programs department. This focuses on our in-situ conservation efforts and is led by our Director of Field Programs, Andy Weber, who has an MS in biology. Programs we currently have, the projects we currently have running, we have a long-term monitoring of a wood turtle population in southeast PA. We are also have the Terrapin Nesting Project in Leeds Point, New Jersey, which has been renamed, which we're going to talk about in a second. It is now the Terrapin Conservation Initiative, TCI. So for those that had heard about our Terrapin Nesting Project, that's been rebranded as the Terrapin Conservation Initiative. We are also funding work with Kinexis homiana, Holmes hinged back tortoise in Azagni National Park in Cote d'Ivoire, Africa. We also have several other programs in development at various different stages. Sadly, the pandemic has slowed work with most of these efforts, as it has with many things. We're going to talk a little bit about our long-term monitoring of a wood turtle population first. This was our first field program, and it started in partnership with the Turtle Survival Alliance and their North American Freshwater Turtle Research Group. The goals of this program are to estimate size of the population, determine whether it's growing or declining. Eventually, we want to try to determine nesting locations, and then we're going to go from there. Maybe we try to track some animals. Maybe we try to protect nests. We're not sure. We've only completed 2 full years of surveys, and then this year we missed our spring, obviously, thanks to the pandemic, and we're hoping to get out here in the fall. History. We did the preliminary work in spring of 2016. And then we started our work in fall of 2017. We do 3 surveys per season in both spring and fall. And this is number 70, who we call Old Crooked Face. He's our most captured individual. We've seen him 12 times so far in the course of our work, which is about exactly half the times we've been out to his stream. The Terrapin Conservation Initiative, formerly known as the Terrapin Nesting Project. Our partner here is the Turtle Conservancy. They helped get this project started, and it does sound like they might even send us some grant money this year as well. The goals here, in some ways, are more simple. Mainly, we want to protect nests from predators such as crows, raccoons, etc. How we are doing this for this program is we do patrols down nesting areas, and we identify where females are nesting. We then excavate those eggs and artificially incubate them and then release them when they've hatched. We do not head start. We release in the fall before winter. Ultimately, we also hope to understand some of the population dynamics of the Leeds Point population. However, these are mainly going to be nesting population dynamics because we are not really doing much work with the males or the juveniles. It's mainly the females. So the history here, we were originally asked to assist with the original terrapin nesting project on Long Beach Island. This year is the third year of the project. And as I mentioned, we rebranded the project this past winter. Over the first 2 years, we released nearly 2,000 hatchlings. This year, we have seen 500 females across our 3 sites, including 300 new animals across those 3 sites. An oddity this year that we didn't expect is one of the animals that was tagged at the original site was found at one of the 2 new sites. So it has migrated at least a little bit. And so here you can see some pictures of a terrapin laying a nest. And on the right, you can see an image of release of hatchlings that hatched from the excavated nests. And let's let that video play a little bit so you can kind of see this. Obviously, an adorable little turtle there. All right, apparently that's the end of the video. I couldn't remember how long it was. Oh no, there's a little bit more. And that is one of Chris and Casey's daughters. All right, so on to our newest conservation effort in the field, translocation and monitoring of Echinix's homiana population. Our main partner here is African Colonian Institute. They've connected with all of the government agencies in Africa and other partners and are the linchpin of this effort. That said, the bulk of the funding has come from the Turtle Room. I believe Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium also donated the other chunk of the money for this effort. So ultimately, we eventually want to monitor population for growth and decline. But the first step of this is that we are going to be releasing specimens into this park that had originally been confiscated from other areas. And this will be done using a soft release strategy. Basically, we'll build pens in the park where they'll live within these pens for several months. And then we'll remove the pens so they can go and use the rest of the protected area in the park. The goal of this is to monitor how they use that area and compare it to how some of the native animals from the park use the same area. And so we'll be putting trackers on, I believe, 4 translocated animals and 4 native animals. And then eventually we want to enact conservation measures appropriate for the population. The initial population assessments were done in 2017. And the first year of monitoring, the movements of these animals should hopefully be here in 2020. However, the pandemic has slowed this down. Originally, the soft release pens were supposed to be built in April, and then eventually the animals would be set free into the habitat. However, the pandemic has slowed these things down. It's possible that some of this may not happen until 2021 at this point. All right, our animal husbandry department. This department focuses on all of our ex situ conservation efforts, and it's led by our Director of Animal Husbandry, Chris Leone, and our board's Animal Management Committee, which is me, Anthony, and Chris. Together, our husbandry team has approximately 150 combined years of experience and has worked with well over 100 different species of tortoise and freshwater turtle. Our plan is to have wide-ranging assurance colony projects of species at all threat levels. So we don't want to focus only on those that are critically endangered, but we want to make sure we develop colonies of those that are less endangered while it is easier to do so instead of having to scramble later when their population declines heavily. We have several partner organizations such as the Turtle Survival Alliance, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and the European Studbook Foundation. Um, we also have provided tissue samples for genetic studies as well as part of our ex situ efforts. We have also built our own web-based data keeping software that is just for our internal use. However, that software was the initial piece of the framework for what many of you may know as Digital Colonian Log, which is our free to the public data keeping app. So, our assurance colony projects. We participate in several AZA species survival plan programs and stud books. We partner with the TSA to raise and breed several endangered and critically endangered species. We also believe it is important to safeguard less endangered species, as I mentioned already. We were the first group to publish and manage a private stud book in the United States, and that was with the Western Hermann's tortoise. More private stud books are now starting in the United States after our influence, and parts of our team are founding members in both the Cursina and Kinnixies working groups, which are designed to impact both field conservation and captive conservation in those genera. Here are some of the fruits of our captive breeding efforts from the last several years. Here's a bunch of North American species that many of you should recognize. This is Cursina angulata, one of those new working groups. You see a couple more common tortoises here, redfoot and a leopard. Some more tortoises. Western Hermann's tortoise, one of the adult animals from our stud book population. We've got a three-striped mud turtle, some diamondbacks, and one of the snake neck species. Here's that redfoot again, along with, and I'm not sure which animal that was, that Anthony's daughter is looking at in the right. Kwakwelan box turtles, Boret's box turtle, and Cora pictorata. A couple more Cora offspring. Lots of Cora. More Cora. Spangleri, one of the projects we're most well known for. One of our flagships. All right. So we also mentioned that we've provided tissue samples for genetic studies. Some examples of that are the Western Hermann's tortoise. We've also sent samples of the entire Cora galbinifrons complex, and we've sent samples to to New Jersey Fish and Wildlife of North American wood turtles as well. We also developed technology for captive conservation. We built our own web-based data keeping software. Now, there are several reasons for this. One, the existing professional tools were far outside our budget abilities. Secondly, most of the existing tools are originally designed for mammals. So while they can handle reptiles, etc., it wasn't their original design. And so they're not only expensive, but they're not designed exactly for what we're trying to do. So we thought, okay, we have the people who can do this. We can design a truly turtle-centric app. And we had already been discussing building a public tool, which I'll hit when we get to the education section of the talk. We are actually currently adding data capabilities to our software so we can keep data on our field projects too. Originally, this was designed specifically for our captive projects. And so you can see a quick snapshot of some of the things that we do with this. We're able to graph all sorts of growth data, and this is weight of all of our Spangleri from the time they hatched up to the time they were 2 years old. So we can use this to quickly compare growth between a couple of animals and identify some outliers. There's a bigger version of that chart. All right, and so on the education side, and this is really where the Turtle Room began. We began trying to help educate others. And so this department has efforts that can be split into 3 different educational arenas. Different parts of this department are overseen by either Anthony or myself. The first is in person, and that includes the talks like this one right now. Secondly is online/written education. We're talking about education through social media, blogs, our World Turtle News feature in our blog, the species profiles, and the other website type projects. The other written items we talk about here would be magazine articles, journal articles, etc. Then finally is that technology piece, the development of apps. So, in person, you can see here a quick summary of some of the activities that we've done with in-person education. And down at the bottom, we're in the process of developing a new nationwide education effort. Last summer, we brought a new staff member on to basically lead this effort. Online and written. As far as our website goes, here's a list of some of the things that you'll find there. The World Turtle News blogs are very popular. There's more than 600 subscribers now that read those on a daily basis. The species profiles we launched way back in 2013, I think, and we're looking to continue to grow those. We keep a checklist of all of the species, and we base that off of the Turtle Taxonomy Working Group's checklist. Our Native Species Maps app, which you can find on our website. And then we have a husbandry tips resource there as well. Other writing includes things like Anthony's book that many of you probably bought and read on Geomyda species. Excellent job. I actually did some of the graphics and photo editing for that, as well as some text editing as well. We have written articles for the Batagur, Radiata, Reptiles magazine, and others as well. Social media is a key part of what the Turtle Room does on a daily basis. And so the Turtle Room is considered a leader in social media strategy within the turtle conservation industry. If you follow our channels, you'll find frequent in-depth educational posts both on Facebook and Instagram. We also use our platform to share other conservation organizations' important posts as well as some of their successes. And we develop YouTube videos, produce YouTube videos from short cool moments, and we also have longer educational videos on our channel as well. The podcast, and this is one of the things that we're most well known for, especially on our YouTube channel, and this is a live video podcast created, produced, and hosted by the Turtle Room. We produce typically at least one episode per month. This includes guests from conservation and the private sector, etc. We are now streaming it to Facebook and the YouTube, and you can watch it after the fact as a recorded video or as recorded audio. On the technology side, the Turtle Room has a small team of developers that are focused on creating applications for education and husbandry. The biggest one of these is Digital Colonian Log. This is a web app with both free and premium versions for the public to use to track data about their turtles. So you can check this out at dcl.theturtleroom.org. I highly encourage you to check that out. Start using it and send us feedback. We plan to continue to improve the application, but we can't do that without users using it and sharing their experience with us. Our goals with that program are to make modern data keeping accessible and affordable. We want to be able to facilitate collaboration amongst hobbyists and also between hobbyists and researchers. And this program is even being used by some conservation organizations. We also developed a Native Species Maps application, which you can see on our website, that allows you to see how many and which species are native to a single country or even a single state or province within certain countries. And we hope to develop more technology for education in the future. So, as a whole, the Turtle Room's future looks like this. And actually, this top bullet point was actually left from a talk last fall when we were doing our first strategic plan, and we'll be reviewing and revising that here within the next few months as we prepare for next year, especially since we have to adapt several things from the pandemic. Over the next few years, we hope to have a continued growth in fundraising, and we saw a big growth in that already. This year is our second full year as a nonprofit, and we're really excited with how we've been able to grow our fundraising so far. Keep an eye out for bonfire campaigns that we've been doing. Some of you supported either our podcast or Terrapin Conservation Initiative bonfire campaign. We also are really encouraging folks to use their Facebook birthday fundraiser to support the Turtle Room, and we've had over $7,000 raised through birthday fundraisers over the last year, which is really cool. We want to launch a new nationwide educational program sometime in 2021 or 2022. The pandemic has impacted that. We're not exactly sure when that's going to happen, but that's kind of the goal we're looking at right now. We also have new field programs we hope will launch in 2021, 2022, and 2023. Again, these are all in various different stages of development, so part of this is going to depend on how things go with the pandemic here this fall and into next spring. Long term, we hope to eventually be able to have some paid staff so we can do more and do it in a shorter amount of time. Right now, all of our staff are volunteers. And even longer term than that probably is we'd like to have a facility to be the headquarters of our assurance colony work. So, a few thanks. First, I want to thank all the partners that we mentioned during this talk. I also want to thank Anders Rodin and his colleagues for allowing me to use their data and maps. Thank you to the Turtle Room's board and staff. And maybe most importantly, thank you to my wife for all of her support, allowing me to do various talks, to travel, and also for all the financial work she does for our organization. The Turtle Room wouldn't be where it is without her as well. If you want to get involved with the Turtle Room or with turtle conservation, there are tons of things that you can do to personally get involved. The Turtle Room itself is looking for several new volunteer staff in specific areas. Our World Turtle News blog project needs a couple new staff members to help continue its forward growth. We also need other staff writers for our website, both on the educational side and on just writing web copy for promotion of our work and our projects. We really want to continue to grow our diversity in our staff, and so we hope that the staff writers, communication specialists, World Turtle News blog personnel, etc., come from a wide diversity background of people. And so if you're interested, hop on our website at theturtleroom.org/join our team, and you can check out all of these listings for positions we have open, and there's an application process there. You can send us your information. We are also looking to grow our board as well. We've got a process developed for that. We need people that can bring specific things to the table. However, we don't want to just grow our board just to have more people on it, but we want to bring people that increase our diversity in skills and in abilities. If you have other things that you think you could provide that we may not be looking for, feel free to contact us anyway. There's a lot of times that we've had people reach out and they're like, hey, how can I get involved? And we have figured out where the overlap of their skills and our needs are and found a role. Lots of people on our team fill more than one role. So there's always lots you can do to get involved. So thank you again for listening to this video. I feel like it's not maybe quite as engaging as it would be had I been able to do this presentation in person, but I appreciate your time as you've watched through this 30-minute talk, and I believe we are going to do some question and answer via some other means with the Minnesota Herp Society later this week. So again, thank you one more time, and I hope you have a great summer and that you stay safe and courteous to all those around you during this pandemic. Have a great day.